Hello, and welcome to Rube's Cozy Book Nook, where we will talk about this month's reads, next month's reads, and our mystery book of the month that we will unwrap together. Before I get started, I would like to put out a spoiler alert. I try not to do spoilers, but if one does happen, you are well aware. So let's get started. The first book we're going to talk about is The Tale of the Heart Queen. It is part of the Rhino series, which starts with The Trial of the Sun Queen. This is the last book. It follows Lore through all her challenges and tribulations, but in this one, it's a little bit different. We meet a god entity that tries to pull all the strings. And so we go through challenges and unnecessary events, love, anguish, anger, triumph, all the things that you need in a really good book. I really liked it, and I thought that it was a good way to end the series. Although I did have to wait a long time for this to come out because I finished the other 3 books rather quickly, and this took a while, but it was really worth the wait. The next book is called The Coven. Sorry for the missing dust jacket. Um, I'm not a fan of dust jackets. So this book and another physical book that I read, because the rest that I'm going to talk about were Kindle books, and so I'll show them on my Kindle. But this book was recommended to me by a friend, and it was really good. I liked it. The beginning was a little slow for me, but it picked up pace really quickly. Like a lot of books I read, it's slow in the beginning, and then maybe towards the middle indish it gets interesting, and then the book ends. This one picked up pretty quickly. I will say it is a short book. As you can see, it's pretty small. So it kind of goes really fast. I would have liked to have more detail in it, but it still wasn't. It was a quick read. It was a palate cleanser, which is always nice. I like a nice quick read that I can just zoom through. So this is really good. With that one, I did read the second book, and it's called The Cursed, and it picks up right after that book. I had to read it on my Kindle because I didn't have the physical copy for it. I waited a long time to read this one, and I wasn't going to wait a long time to buy that one and read it. So I picked that one up on the Kindle, and it was really good. It was iffy at first because, usually when you have love in a book and then you go to the second book, there's always like hatred and revenge through most of it. This one didn't have it through most of it, which was nice. I was like half and half, and it ended on like a pretty like decent cliffhanger. And now we have to wait till I believe it's October for the next one to come out, which is a long wait for someone that goes through books like nobody's business. Um, so I'll probably have to reread this again. It was really good and I liked it, and great recommendation from my friend. The next book was recommended by another friend, and it's called Icker. And it's a different take on Greek mythology, in my opinion. In this story, gods are cast down from Olympus, and in order to stay alive, they have to be worshipped by mortals. And so they thought in order to do this, they would just enslave everyone. Enslavement, that always goes well in history. Anyways, one of the characters, she 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 goes through some challenges. She's manipulated by her supposed soulmate, and that leaves a sour taste in her mouth. She meets new people, loses new people, like a lot of loss and love challenges, but it's really good. And I would have started the second book, but the series doesn't finish till July. And if I really like a book, I will read through it all. For example, I audiobooked Throne of Glass, which is a really long series. It's like 8 books, and the books just get bigger and bigger and bigger as you go. I audiobooked it in a week, which is a lot. So I do read through books, listen through books really quickly. So once that last book comes out in July, I will continue on with the series, and we'll probably talk about it more when that happens. Um, and the last book I read was, I don't know if you can see it. It's A Fate Inked in Blood. This is the Book of the Month version, has its little seal. I got it March of 2024. We read it in book club in July, and I decided I was going to annotate it. As you can see, I annotated a lot in the beginning and not so much in the end. It was good. It was really slow, and then it finally got to an over the hill part. If you know, you know. And it started getting really, really interesting at that point. And I really, I really enjoyed it. It was really interesting. Um, the ending caught me by surprise, and I was really upset. I told my friend that I wasn't gonna finish the series. I couldn't do it. I was so mad. That only lasted for about 5 minutes, and I was like, I need the next book. So that happened. But we'll see if I continue. I might continue. I don't know. I'm up in the air about it. I'm still really upset about it, and I think I need like years to process what happened. So those are my books that I read this month, and then we'll get into the books that I'm going to read next month. I'll talk a little bit about them. They're newish books to me that I've had for a while. So I'll try to give you the gist of what I gathered from reading that little blurb that books have. But we're going to start out with the first book I'm going to read, which is A Curse Carved in Bone, which is the second book to this one. Now I'm showing it to you on my Kindle only because I ordered it through Book of the Month, and they were really late in getting it to me. Like, it literally just shipped. So I'm going to get it in June, and then order my June one and get the June one in June. So I'm basically getting 2 subscription boxes in 1 month. But I ordered this one. I do not know much about it. I'm assuming it's going to follow after this stupid plot twist and cliffhanger. But I have a feeling it's going to be a lot of like the revenge anger part of love. And based on this kind of story and where it's going, because it's very Viking-esque vibes, I don't know if there's going to be a reconciliation for love. And I'm really interested in seeing how that goes. So very excited for that one. That's the first one. The second one is called Lore, and this one is, there's something called an Aegon. I may be saying that wrong. And it happens every 7 years where some, I think it's like 9 gods were forced to walk the earth with mortals, and so every Aegon they go on a hunt to hunt down these gods and get their power so they can be supreme beings. And it follows this one who it doesn't hunt anymore, but she is confronted by her childhood best friend and a god for this hunt. And that, sounds really interesting to me. Another very Greek vibe here. I seem to be drawn to the Greek-esque vibes in books. The next one, I got this in the Homer, Alaska bookstore when I went there about 6 months ago. It's called Dirty Lying Fairies. And it's not what I thought it was, but also I didn't think, what it was. It looked interesting. The title sounded cool. This one kind of follows the storyline of a mortal going to a party and then later on finding out that she's a changeling. So that means that she's a fairy that grew up in the mortal world, and now she's trying to learn the ways of the fey world and the powers that she has. Now, that's an interesting premise. I've read a couple books like that. What really caught my eye was the title. If you know anything about fae, they lie. So I'm very interested in like how that title will incorporate itself into the story, and with her being fae, how does the aspect of lying correlate with her and how she is, because she wasn't raised as a fae. So those are some ideas that I have for that one. We'll see where my opinions lie for our next month's video. I got this one at my local Fred Meyer's. It's called Inheritance by Nora Roberts. And this one is, I don't know if it's a romance. It's very kind of historical, contemporary story. She inherits this house from her late dad's uncle who just passed away. She had no idea her dad had a twin. And it kind of, I think it's going to go between what happened in the 1806 and present day with the current main character, going back and forth. It is a series, and the place that she is living in is haunted. So we'll see where this goes. I'm not thinking it's going to be any fantasy, so this will be a very oddball book in the realm of things that I normally read. But I don't know, I was really drawn to it, and so I bought it, and that is just beautiful artwork. So we'll see what happens with that. The last one is Phantasma, and this is also another book of the month. I'm just going to get rid of this jacket. We don't need that. This was a September book of the month, and ooh, look at that. That is just beautiful. Ooh. So when I talk about this book, because I've had it for a while and I've been wanting to read it, I think of like Dante's Levels of Hell, which I guess is a good comparison for this story. Trying to save her sister, goes into this contest. You have 9 levels of hell that you have to go through to get to be the winner. But each level has a fear and a temptation, and the temptation can either kill you or consume you. So it's going to be a very interesting one. I also know that this is the first book. The second book I'm getting next month's book of the month called Enchantra. So we were reading that probably in July. But I'm very interested to see how this goes. I don't know what kind of romance it is. I don't know if it's like just regular romance or if we're hitting the area of dark romance. So we will find out, and that will be an adventure. So those are my TBRs, and we are going to talk about our mystery book. And I'm going to give you a little backstory on our mystery book. So my husband, he handed me this kitty jar. Isn't it beautiful? And inside are these papers. So what I did was I took all the books that I haven't read on my bookshelf, all of the physical copies, and I wrote them down on pieces of paper and then folded them and I put them in here. I had my husband pick 13 books, 12 for the month and 1 extra for my birthday, and I grabbed all the books from my bookshelf and I wrapped them. This happened to be in December, so they're Christmas wrapped, but I wrapped them, shuffled them around, and then wrote the month on them. So every month I pull a book. For example, this is June's book, and so I unwrap it, and that is our mystery book that we will read with our TBRs for the month. So let's unwrap this one. Echoes and Empires. Let's find out what this one is about, shall we? So when she's caught up in a robbery gone wrong at the Queen's Gala and infected by a dangerous piece of magic, one that allows her to step into the memories of an infamous evil warlock, she finds herself living in her worst nightmare. Joss needs the magic removed before it corrupts her soul and kills her. But in Ironport, the cost of doing magic is death, and seeking help might mean scheduling her own execution. There's nobody she can trust. Nobody, that is, except wanted criminal Horatio Knox, who offers her a deal. his help extracting the magic in exchange for the magic itself. And though she's not thrilled to be working with a thief, especially one as infuriating and infuriatingly handsome as Horatio, Josh is desperate enough to accept, for Horatio's nothing like Josh expects. The closer she grows to Horatio and the more she learns of the world outside her pampered life in the city, the more Josh begins to question the belief she's been always taken for granted. Because if what she sees in these memories is the truth, then everything she's ever known about right and wrong, about power and magic, and even about herself has been staggering lie. That sounds very interesting. Um, I want to say kind of YA, but I don't know. Again, that's what it looks like. We are obviously getting rid of this dust jacket. And it's just black. I like taking the dust jackets off because some of them have like really cool covers to them. Like the Norma Roberts one is a very pretty maroon with an R for Nora Roberts, which I think is really cool. I kind of like that. Anyway, those are the books that we read this month and the ones that we're going to read next month. So stay tuned for next month to see how we feel about next month's reads. Thank you. Bye.